She got rejected on a Christmas blind date. Then a little girl asked, "Can you be my new mom?" Emily had never been a fan of blind dates. The idea of meeting a complete stranger, exchanging polite smiles, and pretending to be the person she thought someone else wanted to see always felt exhausting. Yet here she was, on Christmas Eve, wrapped in a warm coat and a scarf that her mother had knitted for her last winter, walking briskly through the softly falling snow toward the small cafe where she was supposed to meet Michael, a man she had only ever spoken to through a few exchanged messages that seemed polite enough but utterly forgettable. The streets of her neighborhood were glowing with festive lights. Every window displayed twinkling decorations, and the smell of roasted chestnuts and baked goods drifted faintly through the cold night air. Children ran past with laughter, their mittens leaving small wet marks on the snow as they chased one another, and couples walked hand in hand, whispering to each other with soft smiles. Emily felt a twinge of loneliness as she observed these scenes. Christmas was always meant to feel magical, but for her, it usually arrived with a heavy reminder that she spent too many nights alone, curled up with a book or binge-watching old holiday movies. Despite her reluctance, she told herself that tonight could be different. Maybe meeting someone new would shake her out of the routine that had started to feel too familiar. She adjusted her scarf one more time and took a deep breath before entering the cafe. Inside, the warm glow of fairy lights and the faint scent of cinnamon and coffee wrapped around her like a soft blanket. People were chatting, laughing, and clinking mugs of hot chocolate. The cozy atmosphere made her chest feel lighter. Emily scanned the room and spotted him, Michael. He was sitting at a small table near the window where snowflakes gently tapped against the glass. He waved awkwardly, and Emily felt a pang of nervousness. He looked kind enough with a friendly smile, but there was something in his eyes that suggested he was more interested in his phone than in actually getting to know her. She reminded herself not to judge too quickly and walked over to the table, offering her best warm smile. "Hi, Emily, right," he said, standing up for a moment before sinking back into his chair. "Yes, nice to meet you," she replied politely, sliding into the seat across from him. She noticed immediately that he didn't seem very interested in small talk. He asked a few generic questions about her work and hobbies, but his eyes kept wandering, and he glanced at his phone several times. Emily tried to keep the conversation alive, asking about his family, his favorite holiday traditions, and even the kind of movies he liked to watch during Christmas. Michael gave short answers, barely elaborating, and she began to feel the familiar weight of disappointment settle in her chest. After a while, Emily realized that no amount of effort on her part could spark real interest from someone who clearly wasn't invested. She felt a little embarrassed, but she tried to mask it with polite laughter at his occasional jokes. Deep down, she knew this wasn't going anywhere. Her heart sank a bit, but she reminded herself not to take it personally. Rejections happened, even on blind dates that were meant to feel magical. The date finally ended after a lukewarm exchange of "nice to meet you." Michael offered a quick smile and said he hoped she enjoyed the evening, though it was clear from his tone that he already considered it over. Emily walked out of the cafe with a mix of emotions, disappointment, embarrassment, and strangely, a touch of relief. At least she didn't have to sit there pretending anymore. She buttoned her coat and stepped back into the crisp night air. Snow was falling gently, coating her hair and shoulders in tiny white flakes. She hugged herself, shivering slightly, and started walking home, her boots crunching softly on the fresh snow. The streets were quieter now. The cheerful sounds of children had faded, replaced by the soft whispers of the wind through bare trees. Emily wandered, not quite sure which way to turn, letting her mind drift. She thought about how strange life could be. She had spent so much time hoping for someone to come along and make her feel complete, but maybe, she reflected, she had been looking in the wrong places. Maybe the universe had a different plan, something that wasn't about awkward blind dates or polite rejections. As she rounded a corner, Emily noticed a small figure near the edge of the street. At first, she thought it was a doll someone had dropped, but as she drew closer, she realized it was a little girl standing alone, shivering in the cold. Her mittens were too thin, her coat too light for the winter night, and a small teddy bear clutched tightly in her arms looked worn and loved. Emily's heart immediately tightened. "Hey," she said softly, kneeling down so she was at the girl's eye level. "Are you okay? Where's your mom?" Without thinking, she wrapped the girl in her scarf and offered her a warm smile. "It's cold out here. Do you want to come with me for a little while? We can get some hot chocolate." She led her to a nearby cafe, the same one she had just left, and ordered 2 hot chocolates with extra marshmallows. They sat by the window, watching the snow fall outside, and the little girl told her name was Lily. She spoke in soft, hesitant sentences, as if unsure whether it was safe to trust someone she had just met. Emily listened carefully, asking gentle questions and giving her small encouragements. For the first time that evening, Emily felt a genuine connection. She realized that life had just given her a completely unexpected gift, an encounter that wasn't about romance, but about human warmth and care. As she watched Lily sip her hot chocolate and play with the marshmallows, Emily's heart softened. Perhaps Christmas wasn't about finding a perfect date or impressing someone she barely knew. Maybe it was about small acts of kindness, moments of genuine connection, and the ability to offer comfort to someone who needed it. They talked for a long time, Emily listening and smiling, occasionally sharing stories about her own childhood, about holidays past, and little funny memories that made Lily giggle. The cafe slowly emptied as the night went on, but Emily didn't notice. She was wrapped up in the moment, feeling a warmth she hadn't expected. She glanced at her watch and realized it was late. She couldn't let Lily stay out here alone any longer, so she offered to walk her home, or wherever she needed to go. That night, Emily didn't just leave the cafe with empty hands and a disappointed heart. She left with a sense of purpose, a feeling that perhaps her life could change in ways she had never imagined. Little did she know, this chance encounter on a snowy Christmas Eve was only the beginning of a story that would forever change both her life and Lily's. Emily walked alongside Lily, her small hand tucked safely in hers. The snow had begun to fall more heavily now, dusting the street in a soft white blanket. Streetlights cast a warm glow on the path, making the snow sparkle like tiny crystals. Emily could feel the cold seeping through her boots, but she didn't mind. Her focus was entirely on the little girl beside her. "Where do you live, Lily?" Emily asked gently, careful not to rush her. Lily hesitated, glancing around nervously. I don't really have a home," she admitted quietly. Her voice was almost a whisper, but it was full of honesty and sadness. Emily felt a pang in her heart. She had known loneliness before, but hearing it from someone so young and fragile made it much sharper. Are you lost?" Emily asked softly, glancing around the quiet street. Lily shook her head. "No, I was supposed to go to my foster family for Christmas, but they couldn't pick me up." She hugged her teddy bear closer to her chest. Emily's heart ached at the sight. She imagined how scared Lily must have felt, standing alone in the cold with no one to protect her. Emily's mind raced. She could not just leave Lily there. She remembered the warm cafe where they had been, the smell of cocoa and cinnamon lingering in the air. A thought came to her almost instinctively. "Come on," she said gently. "Let's go back to the cafe. You can sit by the fire, and we'll figure out what to do next." She handed it to her, watching as Lily blew on it carefully and took a small sip. The warmth seemed to settle into her little body, and a faint smile appeared on her face. "You're really kind," Lily said after a while, glancing up at Emily. "I don't know why, but I feel safe with you. You don't have to be alone tonight, okay?" She noticed how Lily's eyes sparkled when she talked about simple things she loved, despite the loneliness she had endured. Time passed quickly. The snow outside continued to fall, covering the streets and rooftops in a thick, sparkling blanket. Emily realized it was getting late. She knew she had to do something to ensure Lily's safety. Leaving her outside was not an option, and sending her off to a stranger was unthinkable. "Lily," Emily said gently, "I think we need to find a safe place for you tonight. Do you have a caseworker or someone you usually stay with?" Emily's heart sank. This little girl had nowhere to go. Emily thought fast. She remembered reading about emergency foster care and shelters, but calling those services tonight might take time, too much time for a child shivering in the cold. She also realized that her own apartment was not far away. It wasn't large, but it was warm, safe, and welcoming. Her heart told her what to do, even if part of her hesitated. "Lily," Emily said softly, "would you like to come with me tonight? You can stay at my place just for tonight until we figure everything out. We'll make it warm and cozy, and you can tell me more about your drawings. How does that sound?" The walk was quiet but comfortable, filled with the soft crunch of snow beneath their boots and the occasional hum of holiday music from nearby homes. Emily noticed how Lily occasionally looked up at the falling snowflakes, reaching a small hand to catch them. The joy on her face made Emily's heart swell. When they reached Emily's apartment, she unlocked the door and stepped inside, letting Lily warm herself by the radiator. She offered her a blanket and some extra clothes she had in her closet, noticing how tiny the child was. Lily slipped into them eagerly, smiling shyly at Emily as she warmed up. "Do you want to make some cocoa?" Emily asked. "Yes," Lily said, bouncing slightly in excitement. They went into the kitchen, and Emily quickly prepared a fresh cup for both of them, adding marshmallows and a little sprinkle of cinnamon. They returned to the small living area and sat on the couch, sipping their drinks. Lily's hands were still tiny and cold, so Emily gently wrapped hers around the cup to share the warmth. As they sat there, Emily noticed the teddy bear peeking from under Lily's arm. "He's very cute," Emily said. Lily smiled softly. "His name is Mr. Buttons. He's my best friend." "Buttons seems very lucky to have you, and I think you're lucky to have him too." Emily realized how rare it was to have such a peaceful moment, where the world seemed to slow down and focus only on two people sharing warmth, kindness, and trust. Eventually, Lily looked up at Emily, her eyes wide with wonder. You didn't have to let me come here," she said softly. "You're really, really nice. But sometimes, helping someone is just the right thing to do, and tonight, I think it's what I was meant to do." She knew she wanted to help Lily, but the thought of taking responsibility for a child, someone so small, so fragile, was enormous. Yet the idea of letting her go back into the world alone on such a cold night felt impossible. She smiled gently. "We'll figure everything out, Lily. Tonight you're safe, and that's what matters most. We'll take it one step at a time." By the time they both started to yawn from tiredness, Emily knew that this chance encounter had changed her life in ways she could not yet fully understand. When they finally prepared for bed, Emily set up a small sleeping area for Lily on the couch, with blankets and pillows arranged carefully. She sat with her for a few minutes, tucking the blanket around her shoulders and brushing a strand of hair from her face. Lily looked up at her with sleepy eyes. "Thank you for everything," she whispered. Emily smiled softly, feeling a warmth deeper than any cocoa or fireplace could provide. "You're welcome, Lily. Sleep well tonight. Tomorrow is a new day, and we'll face it together." She realized that Christmas, with all its sparkle and magic, could come in forms she had never imagined, through kindness, through offering warmth to someone in need, and through the quiet moments of trust that formed between two people from completely different worlds. Lily, curled up on the couch, drifted into sleep clutching Mr. Buttons tightly. Emily lay in bed thinking about the night ahead, knowing that this was only the beginning. Somehow, she felt certain that her life, and Lily's, was about to change forever. The next morning, Emily awoke to the soft glow of sunlight filtering through the curtains. For a moment she felt the quiet calm of her apartment, the lingering warmth from the fireplace the night before, and the unusual presence of someone else, someone very small, sleeping just a few feet away. Lily stirred on the couch, her tiny fingers still clutching Mr. Buttons, her teddy bear, and let out a soft yawn. Emily's heart ached with both tenderness and worry. She had never imagined waking up to a child in her home. She knew immediately that this wasn't just a fleeting moment. It was the start of a real responsibility. Yet, as she watched Lily stretch and blink sleepily, she also felt a surge of warmth and joy that she couldn't explain. Something inside her whispered that she was exactly where she needed to be. "Good morning, sleepyhead," Emily said softly, trying not to startle her. Lily opened her eyes and blinked at her, a small, uncertain smile forming on her face. "Good morning," she murmured. "Thank you for letting me stay here." "You're safe here." Lily spoke quietly but eagerly, telling Emily about the small joys she had found even while moving between foster homes. Painting, reading, and collecting little treasures she found in the park near her previous placement. Emily listened intently, feeling a growing connection to this little girl. But with every detail Lily shared, a new wave of worry pressed on her heart. Emily knew that the warmth of yesterday and this morning's breakfast could not last forever. She couldn't just keep Lily indefinitely without figuring out the proper steps to help her. Thoughts of foster care regulations, social workers, and legalities swirled in her mind, making her anxious. After breakfast, Emily decided to take the first practical step. She needed guidance, someone who could advise her on what to do next. She called a local child welfare hotline, her voice steady but tinged with concern as she explained the situation. She listened carefully as the operator explained emergency procedures, temporary shelter options, and the need to report her presence with the child officially. Emily realized that this was the breaking point, the moment when she had to face the reality that she might be taking on something far bigger than herself. She could no longer think of it as just a single night of kindness. She had to make decisions that would impact Lily's life for weeks, months, perhaps years. The weight of responsibility pressed on her chest, and she felt a mixture of fear and determination. After the call, Emily sat down with Lily and gently explained that they needed to contact someone who could help make sure Lily had a safe place to stay, not just for the night but in the long term. Lily's small face scrunched in worry, and her voice trembled slightly. "Does that mean you can't keep me?" she asked quietly. Emily took a deep breath, holding Lily's hands in hers. "I want to keep you safe," she said sincerely. "I don't know exactly how everything will work yet, but I promise we'll figure it out together. You're not alone, Lily." She seemed to sense that Emily genuinely cared, and that whatever came next, she would not be left to face it alone. That afternoon, Emily went to the child welfare office with Lily in tow. The staff were kind and understanding, quickly arranging for social workers to evaluate the situation. Emily answered questions honestly, explaining that she had found Lily alone the previous night and wanted to make sure she was safe. She also expressed her growing desire to foster or adopt, though she admitted she had never done it before. The social worker, a calm and patient woman named Mrs. Daniels, listened attentively and reassured Emily. "It's unusual for someone to take immediate responsibility for a child in an unplanned situation," she said, "but it shows your care and your readiness to act in the child's best interest. We'll guide you through the proper steps. For now, we need to make sure Lily is safe and comfortable." Emily whispered softly to her, telling her it was okay to be nervous, that she was brave, and that she had done nothing wrong. She could see Lily's trust growing with every word, and Emily felt her heart swell with love and protective instinct. After the evaluation, they returned home with instructions to follow a few guidelines while the paperwork and formalities were being processed. Emily arranged her apartment to make it more comfortable for Lily. A small corner of the living room became a cozy nook with blankets, pillows, and books. She also found a small box for Lily's drawings and little treasures, encouraging her to make it her own space. Lily's eyes lit up when she saw the setup, her small hands running over the blankets and books. This is perfect," she said, her face glowing with excitement. Days passed, and Emily quickly settled into the routine of caring for Lily. She prepared meals, helped her with small tasks, and listened carefully to her stories and concerns. Each day brought its own challenges, especially as Emily navigated the responsibilities of taking care of someone so young. She was often tired, sometimes overwhelmed, but every smile from Lily reminded her why she had taken this path. Despite the small victories, Emily faced moments of doubt. She wondered if she was capable of being a proper guardian, if she could provide the stability Lily needed, and if she could handle the emotional weight of potentially taking on the long-term care of a child. Each night she lay awake, thinking about the future and how drastically her life had changed in such a short time. Yet, there were also moments of unexpected joy. Emily watched Lily discover the magic of small things. A tiny snowman on the windowsill, the sound of holiday music on the radio, the joy of coloring a picture with bright colors. Lily's laughter filled the apartment, echoing against the walls, creating a warmth that Emily hadn't realized her home had been missing. These moments reminded her that love didn't always come with grand gestures. Sometimes it came quietly, through small acts of care, patience, and understanding. One evening, as they sat by the fire sipping cocoa, Lily looked up at Emily with wide, earnest eyes. "Emily, can I ask you something?" she said softly. "Of course, Lily," Emily replied, her heart tightening with curiosity and concern. Do you think you could be my new mom?" Lily's voice was small but filled with hope. Emily froze for a moment, her heart catching in her throat. She had not expected such a direct question. The weight of it settled heavily on her shoulders. She looked into Lily's eyes and saw the pure, unfiltered trust and hope staring back at her. It was overwhelming. Emily realized in that instant that she had already begun to love this child as her own, that she wanted to protect her, care for her, and offer her the stability and warmth she had been missing. I don't know exactly how everything will happen yet," Emily said gently, her voice trembling slightly. "But what I do know is that I care about you very much, Lily, and I will do everything I can to be here for you. For now, I promise I will be by your side. Can we take it one step at a time together?" "Together," she whispered. That night, Emily lay in bed, reflecting on the whirlwind of events. A night that had begun with disappointment and rejection had led her to this moment, this unexpected responsibility and connection that felt more meaningful than anything she had imagined. She understood that life could change in an instant, that love and purpose sometimes appeared when you least expected them, and that even the smallest acts of kindness could lead to life-altering consequences. Emily closed her eyes with a mix of exhaustion and hope. She knew the road ahead would be challenging, filled with paperwork, social worker visits, and the emotional demands of caring for a child. But she also knew that this was exactly where she was meant to be. For the first time, she felt a deep sense of purpose and belonging, and a certainty that she and Lily were about to embark on a journey that would transform both of their lives forever. The following days and weeks were a whirlwind of new experiences for both Emily and Lily. Emily had quickly learned that taking care of a child was more than just providing meals and a warm place to sleep. It was about patience, understanding, and being present, even in moments when she felt tired or overwhelmed. Every morning, she would wake up to Lily's bright eyes and boundless energy, which filled her apartment with life and laughter. Emily tried to maintain some routine for both of them. She prepared breakfast, helped Lily with small tasks, and made sure the apartment was safe and cozy. Some days were easier than others. There were mornings when Lily would wake up in tears, frustrated or scared, and Emily would have to soothe her gently, speaking softly and holding her close until the worry passed. Other times, Lily would be full of energy and curiosity, asking questions about the world, about Emily's past, and about things Emily herself had never thought much about. One particularly cold morning, Emily and Lily decided to go for a short walk to the nearby park. The snow had piled high, and the trees were heavy with white branches. Lily, bundled up in layers of clothing Emily had lent her, looked like a tiny adventurer exploring a winter wonderland. She ran ahead, giggling as she jumped into soft piles of snow, leaving little footprints behind her. Emily followed more slowly, careful not to slip, but she couldn't help smiling at Lily's joy. "Emily," Lily called, waving her small hands. "Look at this. They can be amazing if you just look closely." She contacted social workers, gathered documents, and attended meetings that required patience, understanding, and careful attention. It was overwhelming at times. There were forms to fill, background checks to complete, and interviews to attend. Emily found herself exhausted at the end of each day, but whenever she saw Lily's face, her fatigue melted away. She knew that the hard work was worth it if it meant providing Lily with a stable, loving home. Despite her dedication, there were moments of doubt. Emily worried about whether she was doing enough, whether Lily would ever truly feel secure, and whether she could handle the challenges of fostering long-term. At night, when Lily was asleep, Emily would sit quietly in the living room, reflecting on her choices, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing on her chest. She often questioned herself, wondering if she was ready for something so important. Yet, the more time she spent with Lily, the more confident Emily became in her ability to care for her. She saw how Lily thrived in an environment filled with kindness, warmth, and routine. She watched Lily laugh, explore, and share her thoughts openly. She saw the trust and love forming between them, and it filled her with hope. One afternoon, Emily and Lily decided to bake cookies together. Lily was thrilled to participate, her small hands eager to help. Flour dusted the countertops, and tiny paw prints of dough were scattered across the kitchen. Emily guided Lily patiently, showing her how to roll the dough and use cookie cutters. Lily's excitement was infectious, and Emily couldn't stop laughing when Lily accidentally pressed the dough too hard, creating funny shapes that looked more like abstract art than cookies. "These are interesting," Emily said, smiling, "very creative." Baking cookies, laughing at mistakes, and enjoying the small victories became their way of creating memories together. As the days went on, Emily also helped Lily navigate her feelings about being in foster care. Lily sometimes expressed sadness about not being with her previous foster family or her biological parents. Emily listened carefully, validating her feelings and offering comfort without judgment. She encouraged Lily to express herself through drawing, writing, and talking, and she always reassured her that it was okay to feel upset or confused. One evening, as they sat by the fire sipping cocoa, Lily looked up at Emily and asked, "Do you think I'll ever get a forever home?" "Lily," she said gently, "I can't promise exactly what will happen in the future, but I can promise you this. I care about you, and I will do everything I can to make sure you are safe and loved. I'll be with you through it all, and together we'll figure things out. I like being with you." The days turned into weeks, and Emily continued to learn and grow alongside Lily. She discovered that love wasn't always easy, but it was always worth the effort. She learned to celebrate small victories, a smile after a long day, a completed drawing, or a laugh shared over a silly mistake. Each moment reinforced the importance of patience, understanding, and compassion. Emily also began to notice the changes in herself. She felt stronger, more confident, and more capable than she had ever imagined. The responsibility of caring for Lily had pushed her to grow in ways she hadn't anticipated, teaching her resilience, empathy, and the depth of her own heart. One snowy evening, as they decorated a small Christmas tree in the living room, Lily looked up at Emily with wide, hopeful eyes. "Emily," she said softly, "do you think maybe we could be a real family?" A family is more than just who we're born to. It's about love, care, and being there for each other. And we have all of that. In that moment, Emily realized that all the uncertainty, challenges, and doubts she had faced were worth it. She had found a connection deeper than she had ever imagined, a love that would guide them both through the future. As they sat by the fire, Emily reflected on the journey they had taken together. A blind date that had ended in disappointment had led her to a child in need, a child who had changed her life in ways she never could have foreseen. The challenges were real, the responsibilities great, but the love and connection they shared made everything meaningful. Emily knew that the road ahead would not always be easy. There would be more challenges, paperwork, and difficult decisions. But she also knew that with Lily by her side, every step would be filled with purpose, love, and hope. They were building something stronger than fear or uncertainty. They were building a family, one day at a time, with kindness, patience, and unwavering care. As they finished decorating the small tree, Emily watched Lily place the final ornament carefully, her face glowing with pride. She realized that this was more than just a holiday activity. It was a symbol of their bond, their shared life, and the love that had grown between them. The tree stood in the corner of the living room, a quiet reminder of the warmth and joy that could emerge even from the coldest and most unexpected beginnings. Emily smiled, taking a deep breath. She had learned that love often arrived in surprising ways, through moments of courage, kindness, and trust. She had discovered that even in the midst of challenges, growth, and uncertainty, it was possible to create a safe, loving, and joyful home. And she knew, with all her heart, that the journey she and Lily were on together was only just beginning. The following weeks passed with a rhythm that felt both new and comforting for Emily and Lily. The snow outside gradually began to melt, leaving the streets glistening with puddles that reflected the winter sun. Inside Emily's apartment, life had settled into a routine that brought joy and purpose to both of them. Emily discovered that caring for Lily was not just about providing meals or a warm bed. It was about understanding, patience, and nurturing a bond that grew stronger with each passing day. Every morning, Emily would wake to the sound of soft humming, a small voice singing a song Lily had learned in school. Lily would peek over the edge of the couch or slide into bed for a few minutes of quiet conversation before breakfast. Emily found herself smiling before she even opened her eyes, filled with anticipation for the day ahead. Even the simplest routines, making breakfast, brushing teeth, getting ready for school, were now infused with moments of shared laughter and gentle guidance. One morning, as they prepared breakfast together, Lily looked up at Emily with wide eyes. "Emily," she said softly, "do you think maybe this could be forever? Like me living with you always?" "Lily," she said gently, "I can't promise exactly what will happen with paperwork or the future, but I can promise you this. I will always care for you, always protect you, and do everything I can to make you feel at home. And if everything goes well, I hope we can be together forever." "Really?" she whispered, almost afraid to believe it. "Yes, really," Emily said, hugging her close. "You're my family, Lily, and family is forever in our hearts." Sometimes Emily felt exhausted, her mind swirling with rules, regulations, and responsibilities. Yet, whenever she saw Lily laughing, drawing pictures, or cuddling Mr. Buttons close, all the fatigue melted away. Every challenge she faced felt worth it because the reward was the trust, love, and happiness of this little girl. Emily also noticed the changes in herself. She had grown more confident, patient, and understanding. The experience of caring for Lily had pushed her to discover strengths she had never known she possessed. She had learned to balance her own needs with the needs of someone entirely dependent on her, and she had learned that love required effort, sacrifice, and unwavering commitment. Emily realized that the child she had helped could also teach her as much as she was teaching Lily. One day, Emily and Lily decided to go to the local library together. Lily loved books and had been eager to explore the shelves for stories that would spark her imagination. As they walked through the aisles, Lily's eyes shone with excitement, pulling books from the shelves and chattering about each one. Emily smiled as she listened, appreciating the way Lily's mind worked, curious, creative, and endlessly joyful. They found a cozy corner and sat down to read together. Emily read aloud, exaggerating voices and expressions to make the story come alive. Lily giggled at the funny parts and gasped at the exciting moments, leaning closer to Emily as if seeking reassurance during suspenseful scenes. The shared experience of reading aloud strengthened their bond even further, reinforcing Emily's belief that love was built not only through care but through shared experiences, understanding, and attention. At home, Emily encouraged Lily to express herself through drawing and writing. Lily's walls slowly filled with her colorful artwork, pictures of their small adventures, drawings of imagined worlds, and illustrations of their favorite memories together. Emily hung some of the drawings in frames and placed others in a special folder, treating them as treasures. Each drawing reminded her of the joy and trust that Lily had placed in her, and Emily felt a profound sense of pride in being part of the child's life. There were challenges, too. Lily occasionally felt sad about her past, missing previous foster homes or thinking about her biological parents. Emily faced these moments with care and empathy. She taught Lily that it was okay to feel sadness, to remember the past, and to hope for the future. She reassured her that feeling these emotions did not mean she was unloved or alone. Through these difficult moments, their bond grew stronger, founded on trust, honesty, and understanding. As Christmas approached once more, Emily decided to create a special experience for Lily. She wanted this Christmas to feel magical and filled with love, a sharp contrast to the uncertainty and loneliness Lily had once felt. Emily decorated their small apartment with twinkling lights, a modest tree, and little ornaments that they had made together. She even baked cookies and prepared small gifts that reflected Lily's interests and hobbies. When Lily saw the decorations and gifts, her eyes widened with delight. "Emily, this is amazing," she exclaimed, hugging her tightly. "It feels perfect. And because you're here, sharing it with me." She hugged Lily close and whispered, "I feel the same way, Lily. You're my daughter in every way that matters, and I promise to always be here for you, to love you, and to protect you." She thrived in school, developed new friendships, and found joy in the little things that Emily had helped her appreciate. Emily, in turn, discovered the deep fulfillment of caring for someone who depended on her and loved her unconditionally. One afternoon, Emily received official news from the social worker. The process to formalize Lily's placement was moving forward. It would take time, but the legal steps were underway to make Emily Lily's permanent guardian. The news filled her with relief, gratitude, and hope. She realized that the journey they had started on that snowy Christmas Eve was finally leading to a stable, permanent home for the little girl she had come to love as her own. That evening, Emily and Lily sat together by the fire, holding hands and reflecting on how much had changed since that first night. Lily looked up at Emily and asked softly, "Do you remember the first night we met? I was so scared and cold. You made me feel safe and happy. I love our life together." A rejected blind date had led her to a child who needed her, and in turn, that child had filled her life with joy, purpose, and love. She understood that family was not just about being related by blood. It was about being there for each other, loving unconditionally, and creating memories that would last a lifetime. Christmas morning finally arrived. Emily and Lily woke early, excitement buzzing through the apartment. The small tree sparkled with lights, and the gifts they had prepared together were neatly arranged underneath. Lily tore into her presents, giggling with joy, and Emily joined in the excitement, laughing at the small surprises and treasures. The warmth of their home, the laughter, and the shared happiness created a memory they would both treasure forever. Later that day, Emily reflected on how far they had come. She thought about the lonely night when she had been rejected on a blind date, walking through the snow, feeling disappointed and uncertain. She realized that rejection had led her to something infinitely more meaningful, a connection that would last a lifetime, a bond built on trust, love, and care. What had begun as a lonely, unexpected encounter had blossomed into a family, a home, and a future full of hope. Emily hugged Lily tightly, feeling the depth of her love. "Merry Christmas, Lily," she whispered. "Merry Christmas, Emily," Lily replied, smiling brightly. "I'm so glad I found you." Together, they had created a home filled with warmth, laughter, and hope, a home where both of them could thrive and grow. And in that moment, Emily realized that sometimes the most beautiful beginnings come from the most unexpected endings. She got rejected on a Christmas blind date. Then a little girl asked, "Can you be my new mom?"